A recent comment on one of my videos, it really caught my attention. I blurred out the username, but the commenter said this: "There's so much going on, sometimes when it comes to prepping, I just want to give up. Feel overwhelmed with everything going on at the moment? Trust me, you're not the only one. So let's chat about it." I've enjoyed doing these weekend, more personal types of videos as they really give me a chance to kind of pull back and try, if only for a few moments, to gain better perspective on what's happening in the world, determine how I'll respond to these events, and even more importantly, hopefully after finding the right perspective, find a way through all of this to encourage you, the community, in the process. It's a tall order, I know. And maybe these videos are a reminder for me as well, and I'm glad to share them as I process everything that's happening at the moment. I feel for many of us, maybe not all of us, we're collectively experiencing that sinking feeling that our efforts to prepare are maybe in vain. Are we just rearranging chairs on a sinking ship, if you will? And to make matters worse, bad news is quite popular at the moment. I know this is especially true for this community. In my YouTube dashboard for my channel, one of the analytics that YouTube provides to me is showing me what videos my viewers view after watching my videos. And I think you already know what I'm about to say. It's a lot of doom and gloom. The other videos that subscribers typically click off and view. Videos that highlight the bad news. And look, I get it. We're preppers. We try and push past the veneer to really understand what's going on. By default, we're programmed to try and stay ahead of the curve, to look for that next set of information to ensure that if things go sideways, we're not caught off guard and left at a severe disadvantage. And let me say, there's nothing wrong with that. But there are some things you need to be extremely careful about, which we'll cover in just a moment. So in this video, I want to try and tie this conversation together from the original comment we led off with at the beginning of the video, as I think there's a lot to unpack and consider here. I'll tell you where I stand in all this, and I believe that the approach I'm taking will ultimately get us through these troubling times. So I hope you stick around with me as I try to make this video short and to the point. Now, I hope by saying that I don't come off as arrogant. I don't pretend to know it all, and quite the contrary, but there are a few things, a few pillars, if you will, that I've held on to in my life that have really made all the difference during times like this. And I'm glad to share my humble insight. I realize that for some, I'm too serious, and for others, I'm not serious enough. I even recently had a comment on a video stating that my calm approach was dangerous, as people need to wake up to the severity of the situation, implying that I lack the gravitas needed to warn people of the impending doom that is upon us all. And more often than not, the comments on my videos are that they find a source of encouragement, which is really all I could hope for, honestly. For some, they see these videos as repetitive, as I'm trying my hardest each week to repeat a core message to try and bring a sense of calm to this community. And I completely understand what gets the clicks on YouTube, especially based on the analytics that YouTube shows me, which I referenced earlier. But I've decided to not go down that path. There's an old saying that I have followed for years while building businesses that has really served me well. And you may have heard it. It goes like this: when there's sunshine, make hay. If I were to apply that principle to what I'm doing with this channel, I would be wise from a monetary perspective to ramp up the fear, highlight the uncertainty, get people worked up, throw in a few good conspiracy theories for good measure, and then suggest that I have some unique source of truth that I've uncovered that others have not. But here's the thing. I realize that there's a real person on the other side of the screen watching this video. And it's easy to just get focused on getting as many views as possible when approaching YouTube. But I see you as a real person, not just a thing to be exploited to line my pockets. I, like you, am focused on prepping for an uncertain future and a troubling present. I believe that while this is a solitary activity in many ways, it's also part of a larger community. If I can teach a few more people along the way, then I know that I am tending to perhaps the most essential prep, our collective readiness. As I mentioned in the newsletter this week, when disaster strikes, sometimes we have just the two options of fight or flight. We can't hold back some of the disastrous forces that would befall us. In the moment, we have to choose to either fight or flee may come for us. And the outcome of whichever decision will be predicated on our thoughtful, calm prepping. If we have spent our time in frenzied tail chasing and spent our precious minutes and hours before disaster strikes doing some very important internet research about all the possible ways things could go wrong, we may have squandered our real time to get prepared. And this isn't to say that you should not stay informed, but please hear me out and please be careful. No amount of internet research will feed you if the supply chain in your part of the world breaks. No doom scrolling will keep you warm when the power fails during winter. Even if we hurtle headlong toward the brink of mutually assured nuclear destruction, knowing the exact minute that it will occur won't really matter to you in the long run. So doom scrolling to try and find that moment won't really help you either. What will help you now is to focus on what you can do at this moment. From our little vantage point on the world stage, even if all our collective voices agree on the way things should be and the outcome, which they never will, there isn't a whole lot of influence that we can exert over our inevitable fate. I, like you, see the world as changing. And look, it always has. Sometimes that's a slow and gradual change. Sometimes that's a dramatic and shocking change. And I can't really slow down or stop either scenario, and neither can you. Given this fact, some will rail against the status quo. They'll try to lock things down and keep them from changing. They spend all their energy fighting against the inevitable. Others will feel overwhelmed by fear and anxiety and succumb to feelings of utter helplessness. Both suffer from the same Sisyphean battle. It's a battle that they cannot win, try as they might, as they vacillate between competing emotions of anger and despair. So, what can you do? Just give up? Give in? Continue to fight overwhelming forces? As a comment pointed out at the beginning of the video, just giving up almost seems to be the only option. Look, here's the crux of my philosophy. Don't let the things you cannot change overwhelm you. Focus on what you can change instead, you and your immediate environment. I think teaching people to set aside the food, water, energy, medicine, and other critical pillars of prepping will be what inevitably gets us through to better days. Doing that can sometimes seem like a battle that you can't win, because the reality is that as much as you push people to prepare, many still won't. And I accept that fact, just as I accept that many people will heed the call to prepare. Many would seek to destroy the world, and others would seek to build it up. Regarding the news that we report on this channel on a weekly basis, I purposely avoid making bold predictions of the outcomes because the conclusion hasn't happened yet. Our world is in a state of flux, and I would like to proclaim to have all the answers, but I'll be the first to admit that I do not, and nobody does. And let me just give you a pro tip. Those that do offer to know what's coming will usually offer a solution, a product, something that will calm your fears after they're the very ones who stoke them up to begin with. And be careful not to get swindled by these types because, as you can imagine, business is very good for them right now. As I said, I also choose to spend my time not trying to make the world different than its fate. I tend to make my own fate because I have some control over that. I would encourage you to do the same. So while some may tire of the same old message from me to grow at least some of whatever you need to eat, to set aside water and a means to filter and purify it, to address your energy needs for when your part of the grid does fail, and so on, many still need to hear this message. Many others have listened to it, but they still haven't done anything to address this genuine, inevitable moment in their future. While I may be accused of sounding like a broken record player here lately on the channel, it's by design, it's intentional. If I'm accused of saying the same thing week after week, which is to encourage you to make ready and to prepare, but yet remain encouraged, don't panic, stay calm, then I feel like I've succeeded. That to me would really be the definition of success on this channel. If I'm labeled as someone that encourages people to stay calm while preparing, and if people are like, well, that's city prepping, he's that guy over there that tells everybody to stay calm, well, then bring it on. I'll gladly accept that label because there's plenty of voices doing the opposite in this community right now. And I'll gladly take this title, if you will, of trying to stay calm because, look, I realize that there are a lot of challenges, a lot of things that are happening in the world, and I don't want to try to just keep rehashing that. There's no hiding one's head in the sand here. There's a very real call to action, and that's what I've been trying to do with this channel. It's an inflection point in our history where those who heeded the message right now at this moment will probably be the ones in the future recounting the history. And it's a time to roll up your sleeves and get to the business of living. If nothing ever happens, and I honestly hope that nothing so traumatic ever does, you'll be glad you became more self-sufficient. you'll live a better and more confident life, secure in the knowledge that you can survive and thrive despite the chaos that swirls around you. And you can't really buy that. Nobody is selling that right now. Actively and methodically prepping can get you there. Panic buying out of fear and anxiety, only means you failed to prep at the most important point in your history right now. Look, I'm not going to tell you what you should or shouldn't watch. It's a free market. I'm not going to tell you who is absolutely right about something, nor will I ever quote anonymous sources. What I am going to do is keep doing exactly what I have been doing. I will try earnestly to provide you with practical solutions to maintain stability in an increasingly more chaotic and tumultuous world. And I don't feel the need to change or deviate from that message. I'm not hiding my head in the sand, but keeping my eyes fixed on the horizon and on the work in front of me. There's so much I can do. For some, that might mean that I'm not extreme enough. Okay, but again, that's not really my purpose here with this channel. For others, it will always seem that I'm stoking fear, no matter how logical and unbiased my assessment may be. So be it. I'm not here to cater to either of them. I'm here to engage in this journey of preparing with you. And I'm here to learn from you and to teach those willing to learn. Along the way, if I have helped just one person overcome the challenge that they face, all of this would have seemed worth it to me. But I'm happy to learn from various emails and comments that my reach has gone beyond just one person. And it's that type of feedback from you, the community, that really fuels and propels me forward. Let me end by telling you a real example of our preparedness community. I admit that I'm not the best gardener in the world. I'm still learning. And many people who have gardened for years will say the same thing. I hear this often. I'm still learning. In a recent video I did on the channel, I mentioned that we would focus part of the content on real solutions for food production in small environments because I think it will be the key to survival for many. And I want to provide my viewers with tangible and actionable solutions and not focus on an infinite amount of what ifs. I think we tend to gravitate to and be overwhelming by the what ifs. And let me take a moment to tell you all thank you. I received almost 1,000 emails and comments in response from subscribers, from you, the community, when I asked for the community's help in a recent video where I admitted I'm not good at gardening. I'd like to begin to do videos showing people how to garden in a small space. And you guys really rose to the occasion. I honestly couldn't be more proud of you all. Some folks just sent a link. Others sent pictures and videos of their systems and results. And many others sent me a multi-page documentation of their years of practice. Honestly, it's going to take me a couple of weeks to try and compile and process everything. And we're looking at compiling all this into a meaningful way to distill it all down and share it with you, the community. And I think this massive response exemplifies the very best part of our community, that we are a community. We are a wealth of shared knowledge and learning with the sole purpose of making our present and future lives better no matter what the world throws at us. I, for one, am very thankful to be on this journey with you. I always enjoy your thoughts, your feedback, your comments. Please feel free in the comment section below to post some feedback or thought on this video. I definitely welcome it. As always, stay safe out there.